Yes, good morning, class. I'm supposed to be teaching today at 11 a.m., which is approximately 1 p.m. in Cameroon. Unfortunately, I am about to travel. I may not be available for the live class. So I decided to do a recording so that by the time you come to class, you can meet a recording which you may decide to watch and reflect on what we may be talking about. I want to make two announcements. The first one is about your exams. There are two sets of exams you are going to take, two sets of exams. And the first one is already up and running, so you don't have to worry. You're already doing something with the exam. That is the practical exam. The second one is going to be theoretical. It's going to be a theoretical exam. I'm trying to do something. I don't want this screen to time out every time it is timing out, and I want to have light on the screen. So it's what I'm trying to do, so that we don't have it timing out to put down the light, keep the screen turned on. Okay, I want the screen to be on. I think I will change the settings after I've done this video lecture. So I was talking about the exams, and I was saying that there are two sets of exams you are going to take. You are going to take practical exam, which is already up and running, and you'll also take a theoretical exam. So you have to read, okay? This was something I thought it would be good for you, because since this has been practically an online class, we've not got so much attachment to the students. We don't know how they have been engaged. It's very hard to tell how the students have been engaged on this course. So we don't want to say it's a group project, and there will be students that will hide in, and they will not participate fully, and the examination the goals of why we are examining you may not be achieved. We would love to see your individual contributions and your individual assessments as far as this course is concerned. And therefore, the individual assessments will be done in a theoretical exam, which I'm going to set and send it to the university for moderation, and it will be programmed on the normal examination timetable. They have already given us the schedule. I think your exams will start on 1st of October. So we are sending in our examination questions for moderation. I am seated in here in my home in Mokono, and it's where I'm doing this lecture from. So that's a very important announcement I'm putting through so that you can communicate it to the others. It's quite very important, and I'll still be able to communicate this to I'll be able to communicate this to the students on their platforms so that they can know this requirement. Otherwise, if they don't, chances are that they will miss the exam. We are going to write theoretical exams and also do practical exams. The theoretical exam will carry 20 marks, and the practical exam will also carry 20 marks, and then the assessments and the quizzes that we are writing in this course or throughout the course will carry 60 marks. Of course, that includes assessing your attendance, assessing your contributions. One would ask me how I can measure the attendance. Yes, all the lectures that I've taken online were recorded. So I'll just be looking at the participants list and grade you. Those of you that maybe were listening in from other people's accounts, I know you must have written somewhere on the platform that I am here, I am with so and so, because I remember one time Blandine was hosting about 3 guys using the same microphone. So, but we expect you to be type something or say something, because even the recording will capture all that. So, but the best is to write, to say I am not logged in as my own self, but I am listening in with so and so, and then we can take your attendance. Attendance and participation takes up to 10 marks. So it's a very important announcement. I request the course delegates and all those that will watch this video to share it, and also share the information so that every student that is taking this course gets to know about this very important information that we are putting through. So today I am here to do the last module, that is security in the cloud. That's why I'm here, and that will be the last time we are interacting as far as this course is concerned. I'm thinking excuse me, I'm thinking that when there are issues, if you really want me to address your issues, I'll be in Cameroon on I think by the 9th, because we are supposed to be meeting on 9th for the presentations of our projects. I'll be coming over if there are issues, and genuine issues I mean, because I don't want this carelessness where a student says, I missed my quiz, I had this, I was this. I can only listen to genuine reasons. That's when I can help you. If you have written to me an email and I have not responded, it means what you are telling me, I don't have anything to tell you. I just keep quiet, because you are telling me how you missed your quiz because of you forgot. Somebody is telling me, I missed my quiz, I forgot the time. the quiz is not done in that particular time. It takes like 2 days. I program it for 2 days, so you cannot give an excuse of forgetting to take your quiz and you say you forgot about the close down time. It is not a must that you take your quiz on the last hour. You have 2 days to take your quiz, and we don't see the reason why you take it on the last hour. So I cannot buy that excuse. And that's why many of you, although some of you that could have written to me with that excuse, the best I can do is not to reply your emails, because there is nothing I can tell you. There's nothing to tell you. Okay. So that's the first announcement. It's about exams, and I would like you to put it through so everybody gets the information. The second announcement is about the fact that we are closing the semester, and also to thank you so much for participating in this course, and also to let you know that I will handle your queries when I'm in Cameroon. You come personally, address your concerns, and I will handle them. I cannot handle your issues via email. So when we come to do a presentation, I will handle the issues. The other aspect that I'm looking at is the other aspect that I'm looking at is the issue of the other aspect that I'm looking at is the fact that we are taking a course. I mean, we are taking the last module of this course, and it's what I'm going to teach. Okay. Okay, so I would like to open this module, the last module, and that is the security in the cloud. So let me try to open something here. Let's see, we can now, okay, we see, if you look at the screen, I think you can be able to see my screen. I have covered all these modules. I've covered more about the course instructor. I've covered module 0, welcome and introduction. I've covered module 1, where we looked at the introduction to cloud computing and the technologies involved there. I've also covered module 2. Module 2 was about the models. We introduced every model and decided to explain it, to discuss it. We did that in module 2. We did module 3, module 4, and module 5. We could have done more, but this being a special semester, it's a summer semester, it's quite short, so we could not do more. We had to do something that could fit in the time frame we had. You know very well that cloud computing is a very big area. Those of you that would love to specialize in it, you can go ahead and explore more on many issues about cloud computing. I talked about this. I said this is just an introduction course. You can have much more to learn and also to explore as far as cloud computing is concerned. So I would like to open this module and say something about it briefly. There are many issues there. The first one is security in the cloud. It's a slide. It's a slide which I could have used to teach in class, but since we are online, I uploaded it here. It's what I'm going to take you through, and you see the concerns. There are many questions we are asking ourselves. One, we are asking ourselves, why is it that despite the fact that we would like to admit and conclude that cloud computing is the way to go, why is it that after we've conducted research, because we have done a lot of research, and the results or the findings show that many companies have not appreciated this aspect of cloud computing. They have not deployed their data into the cloud. And we are saying, despite the fact that cloud computing is very popular, why is it that many companies, many organizations are not yet in the cloud? Very, very important question, guiding question for this lecture. And the answer, the straightforward answer, is that there are concerns about security in the cloud. So it is what we would like to address and look at in this lecture. We can basically, open this here. Let me hope it will open. Sometimes it is an issue. It's a PDF file, so I think it will open. But even if it does not open here, it's already good. We already have it here, so we are good to go. Security in the cloud is what we like to look at, but this slide is already published to you in Schoology. You will not see it on Moodle, but it's already published to you in Schoology. I would like to hurriedly go through the aspects of cloud computing. The background, we said it is internet-based services that help us to support business processes. The other aspect is that you rent IT services from cloud computing service providers on a utility-like basis. We discussed the attributes of cloud computing, where we have rapid deployments, we have multi-tenant sharing of services and resources, and we have the costs. The cost is based on what you use, which we called scalability. These are very good attributes which we think attracts the clients to the cloud. But we also have to understand that multi-tenant sharing is a very important aspect that we shall look at when we start looking at security. There are many clients that are sharing the same resources. Same virtual machines are being used by many clients. We are thinking that the data the data stores of cloud computing service providers have the infrastructure, they have the virtual machines where everybody is hosted as a client. And we are thinking that there could be many clients using the same infrastructure, using the same virtual machines, and this is what we call multi-tenant sharing. It's a concern when it comes to security, and we shall see that. We also discussed the essential characteristics of cloud computing. which is on-demand self-service, rapid elasticity, measured service, and the cloud computing is a compilation of very many technologies, which is packaged in infrastructures, and it offers resources to the clients, which we think that it will bring advantages of reduced costs and also the anytime availability of resources. So those are the advantages that we discussed. I'd like to go here and look at this question. Cloud computing, who should use it? Who should use it? It makes sense if your own security is weak. That means that the cloud provider will give you security that is better than yours. Security in your data, security in your infrastructure. If you have a security that is weak, you may be safer in the cloud because you are sure that the cloud computing service provider will provide you security that is better than yours. That's when people that are in that state should opt for cloud computing. We're also going for cloud computing when web service interfaces do not introduce too many new vulnerabilities, and the cloud provider aims at least as high as you do as far as security goals are concerned. So, but the most important thing is that those that think, as far as security is concerned, since it's the major aspect we are talking about here, if you think that your security is weaker, then you're not sure of your own security, then it's better you take on to the cloud. We discussed cloud models. These ones, we discussed them. We discussed the delivery models, software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. I'm happy to note that apart from introducing to you these models theoretically, we have also introduced to you the practical aspects of how to use these delivery models. I'm sure that we now know how to get to the interfaces of service providers, and you can be able to cloud practically, or to use the infrastructures practically. I'm sure we can be able to do this, especially those of us who have been attending classes since the course started. We also discussed deployment models, where we discussed private cloud, community cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud. You should be able to differentiate and distinguish between all of these ones. This is where the theoretical assessment in your exam is going to come in. You are going to be required to read these concepts we taught you and prepare to write an exam, in addition to the practical projects you are undertaking in your groups. So this is where now the issue is. Very important question here that I talked about at the beginning of this course. If cloud computing is so great, why isn't everyone doing it? It's a very important question to ask whoever is promoting cloud computing. If cloud computing is so great, why isn't everyone doing it? The answers, we try to bring in the answers here. The first aspect is that it's just a black box. when we talk about the cloud, it does not make sense to many people. What is inside is not visible to the clients. The clients don't know where their data is clouded. Like we said, cloud is something not there. It is something you are forced to believe that my data is deployed and kept somewhere by somebody that I'm paying to do that, and you want to believe that someone will protect you, will also protect your data, and you will be safe. Now, many people don't want to believe like that. There are people who think that it is never safe at all. There's one time I was discussing security issues with some students back in the years in the ICT university. These students were students doing very good course, cybersecurity. I was discussing with them about security concerns over the internet and the technologies. One of them made a statement I'll never forget, that when it comes to the cloud, when it comes to security, we can't guarantee 100% safety over issues. So if security experts conclude like that, it becomes hard to convince people that their data will be safe in the cloud. The other issue is that the clients have no idea or control over what happens inside the cloud. You don't have any control. You don't have an idea of what is going on. And even if we think that even if the cloud provider is honest, there could be malicious system administrators who can tamper with the virtual machines and violate confidentiality and integrity. And that's how the data may be compromised. So we want to know, I want to give you a task. We have looked at very many cloud service providers, very many that I've introduced to you in this course. Your assignment or I want you to do is that go and find out the security policies of these service providers. Maybe when we get time, or you can go to the discussion boards and interact with us, share with us your findings. What is their security policies, and how are they ready to convince their clients that whatever is done is safe, and how are they ready to convince the clients about the security concerns and the safety aspects of their data? So go and look at Google compute engines, and look at Amazon, look at OpenStack. We have many, Cloud Foundry, we have many we've introduced to you. And the most important thing you should be exploring is how basically these cloud service providers are taking the aspects of security. Because it is something I know they must be talking about. When you have to get to them as a client, because when you get to their interfaces, their support emails, support lines, support communications. So pretend to be, or you may appear to be, don't pretend, appear to be a client, and ask them to advise you about security issues in the cloud. Then the other aspect is about that the clouds are still a concern when it comes to confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The privacy issues is still a concern. There are attacks. How sure are we that the servers will be available and will not collapse or will not get destroyed? If you tell me that the data centers are in maybe Washington, I'm just giving an example. What can happen tomorrow if there is war and the data centers are destroyed? What can happen? So we need to know availability is also another issue. How sure are we that when we need the data at a given time, it will be available? So the companies, I'm sorry to let you know, are still afraid to use the clouds because of the cloud computing risks. So when you are thinking about these risks, there was I extracted this from a research where I put the source down there. You can see the source, claptics.com. There was a research that was done on that site, and the top 5 risks of cloud computing were revealed in the years 2015 and 2014 to make that comparison. When you look at the first risk, that is the unauthorized access to leak of our customers' information. In 2015, it is 49%, but in 2014, it was a higher risk with 51%. The good news there is that according to this research, according to these findings, this risk is being mitigated. That's why we have reduced percentage in 2015. So we can find out what happened. I'm sure that if the trend of mitigating this risk continued in that direction, then it means that today, 2019, this risk of unauthorized access to the customer's information and data may have reduced greatly. So we need to find out. Maybe one of you should do research to find out how far such risks have been mitigated because this is 2015. So what could have happened in 2016? And what could have happened in 2017? Are we sure that the risk of unauthorized access to our data and information is greatly reducing, as we saw in this research? Then there is also a risk of security defects in the technology. The technologies we are using for cloud computing. The research showed here that in 2014, it was 48%, and it reduced in 2015 at 43%. When I talk about the security defects, I mean the technologies, the breaches in the technologies where the attackers can take advantage to get access to the client's data. That was also looked at. You see it is reduced, it is reducing, and it was mitigated there. Then we have many issues. I may not discuss everything, but let me put out the most important ones. I would like to look at performance, application and system performances. There in 2014, we had 35%, reducing greatly at 28% in 2015. So I know the companies are still afraid to use the clouds because of these shocking findings revealing the risks that are involved in cloud computing. In another research, IDC Enterprise Panel, which was conducted in 2008 with a sample population of 244, this is what came out. These are the challenges, the rate of the challenges or issues associated with cloud computing.
you can see that security is at 74.6%. It's a higher risk. It's a challenge. It takes the highest aspect of challenge. So then we have 44.3 where we say we don't have enough providers yet. It gives us 44.3. So the others, but our major aspect here is security. To justify that there is need for us to be conscious when we are doing cloud computing. The research here reveals that. So what are the causes of the problems associated with the security, with the cloud computing? Where does the problem come in? Where do we have issues? One is lack of control. We have already talked about it. Your data is kept somewhere, you don't have control over it. And everything is managed by the provider, so it becomes a problem. Lack of trust is normal. How can you trust? It is normal not to trust. So there are issues. Multi-tenancy, I talked about this. The multi-tenancy is an aspect where there are many clients on one virtual machine or many clients on a given data center, and you have all your resources on one virtual machine. Let me say that could be a problem. You are not sure whether among those on the same machine are your competitors who may want to use all the opportunity to bring you down. So everything is discussed here. Loss of control in the cloud, the customer's loss of control, data application resources allocated with the provider, the user identity management is handled by the cloud, user access control rules, security policies, and enforcements are managed by the cloud provider. So the consumer relies on the provider to ensure security and privacy, resource availability, monitoring and the repairing of services and resources. So you don't have control. Everything is with the service provider. Your security to your data is with the service provider. Your privacy to your data is with the service provider, and the resource availability is with the service provider. So you don't have anything, any control over your own resources, which is a problem. Then the lack of trust in the cloud. It is very hard to trust a third party. It requires taking risks. So there is an aspect, there is a good trust and risks are very good twins. There, you see, when you want to trust, you take risks to trust. You can never be sure. It's just the opposite of the same coin. That is trust and risk. In the economists will tell you that you can only trust when it pays. And the need for trust will come up in very risky situations. That's when you start thinking about the trust. So the third party that we want to involve, it may be so hard for them to balance trust and risks. So that's where we are having challenges, and that's where we need to look at. Then also multi-tenancy issues in the cloud. We said we are sharing the same resources, and the tenants share a pool of resources and have different goals. So how do we deal with this? There is likely to be a conflict of interest. Can tenants get along together and they are using the same infrastructures and they are okay with it? If they can't, can we isolate them? So how do we separate the tenants from sharing resources? So this has brought in very many threats. There are many threats, and that means that independent users will have issues when they are sharing physical resources. So there are issues of multi-tenancy as far as security is concerned. So there is fear about confidentiality. There is fear concerning issues of integrity, and fears about confidentiality is concerned about the fear of loss of control over data. You want to know, will the sensitive data stored in the cloud remain confidential? It's a very important question to ask. Then 2, will the cloud compromise leak confidential client data? Are they going to be honest? Then we have issues of integrity. How do I know that the cloud provider is doing the computation correctly? How do I also ensure that the cloud provider really stored my data without tampering with it? All those are fears. Then there's also fear as far as availability is concerned. In case systems go down, in case the provider is attacked, what happens if the provider goes out of business? What happens if the provider cannot scale well enough? So all those are fears. So we have fears in privacy issues. We have fears of attack. We have fears of auditing. It is difficult to audit our data when it is in the cloud. We also have issues of legal aspects. We need to comply with the regulations. Now, in case those regulations are violated, who is responsible for that? If the cloud provider subcontracts a third party, will the data still be secure? So all these are questions for us to ask. So this lecture today is just to trickle you so that you answer the questions we've asked you concerning security. You can explore and find the answers to these questions we are asking. So security is one of the most difficult tasks to implement in the cloud. You are going to see. And if my students can go ahead to do research in this area and bring out a way forward on how we can guarantee security in the cloud, I'll be very grateful. But what you have to know is that security is one of the most difficult tasks to implement in the cloud. It's a nightmare, and it cannot be handled in a traditional way. That is John Chambers, the Cisco CEO, confirming to the fact that it is still a challenge for cloud service providers to convince the clients that their data will be safe in the cloud. So I would like to once again thank you so much for being part of this lecture. I'll end this lecture by echoing out the announcements I made. We are going to take two aspects of examination. The one is a practical examination. It's a practical project which you people are already undertaking. And the second one is a what? A theoretical exam which you will write in the normal end of semester examination schedule, and it will run on an examination timetable as it will be advised by the administrative office. I thank you so much. For any questions, let's go to our discussion boards and we ask the questions. I'll be there to interact with you in the discussion boards so that we can know your concerns as far as this lecture is concerned. So thank you so much, and it marks the end of this class.